You're listening to Two Girls, One Crossword.
Hello, listeners. You've made it to the 69th episode. Woo!
Can you believe the big 69?
This is every podcaster's dream, like a
It
huge
is.
milestone for us. I'm Grace, by the way.
It is. It's a massive milestone for us. And I'm Chelsea. Hey.
It's a gigantic, massive, throbbing milestone for us.
And we're really enjoying it. We are, in fact, the Good Evening Girls, and you are listening to your favorite weekly Podword Crosscast. Two girls, one crossword. Episode 69. Yeah.
I hope you like how we always switch up the order and how we do their introductions. It's like we always have to hit the names, our name as a duo, and then the podcast name, and then the little description. But sometimes we switch it up. Sometimes we start with the description.
It's true. And sometimes we just F it up entirely. Like, it just doesn't happen the right way or at all.
Sometimes we don't say the name. Sometimes one of us says both our names. We just like to keep you on our toes, okay?
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
We could have a scripted intro. We could be way more organized.
We could do a lot of things, but we're just here to have fun, okay? The world is crazy. Our lives are crazy and just filled with, like, you know, work and obligations. And we just want to have fun once in our life, okay?
Have you seen that tweet that's like, white people love to say, times are so weird right now? It's like attacked.
They're just so weird right now. Yeah, no. Oh, dear.
It's true. But what can you do? All right, shall we get into our heights and shites of the week?
Should we get into the hits and shits of the week? I think we should. I think it's time. It's that time of day. It's the time of year. Can I start off with the shit?
Yes, please.
I haven't had a shit in a while.
Yeah, you've been constipated.
I've been struggling, folks. No, so this is like kind of a shit, not really. I mean, we always preface this. Yeah. It's like half a shit, right? I kind of want to get Grace's thoughts, and I would love to hear our listeners' thoughts as well. This is from the Wednesday, December 9th, New Yorker by Patrick Berry. And I actually had to look up the answer like on Google because I had no idea what this was. And I was confused, right? Mm-hmm. So 6 down, unenviable position, ? And the answer is MC Jobs. At least that's what I thought it was. So then I looked up MC Jobs definition, and it stands for, it's actually Mick Jobs, as in like, it's like referring to like McDonald's, for instance.
Okay. Because I remember seeing this. I got it through like filling out the acrosses, and I saw it, and I was like, MC job. I mean, I guess some people don't want to be like
an MC.
But then I know that's not how they spell MC. MC is EMCEE. And this is just Mick. So, okay, I'm glad you brought this up.
I was very confused. So this is from Wikipedia. Quote, the term was coined by sociologist Amiti and Edizioni. I'm really, really sorry. And appeared in the Washington Post on August 24th, 1986 in the article, Mick Jobs Are Bad for Kids. So a Mick job is basically a low-paid job with few prospects. And the Mick prefix is referring to like McDonald's, for instance. And so this guy wrote this article about how these Mick jobs, or like these low-paying, like no future type, dead-end type jobs, are really bad for kids. And the article is interesting, and it came out in like 1986. So this is like a while ago. And it talks about how kids these days are getting jobs to learn how to have like certain skills in the workforce. And it follows along this like ideology in America that you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps and make a living for yourself and like climb the ranks, and you can come from anywhere, start from anywhere, and you can end as like a CEO of a corporation, you know, like the American dream. But this author argues that these jobs don't actually do that for people. So I want to read one quote from this article. Quote, as many as 2/3 of America's high school juniors and seniors now hold down part-time paying jobs, according to studies. And remember, this is from 1986, so the numbers are probably different now.
Yeah.
Many of these in fast food chains, of which McDonald's is the pioneer, trend-setting, and symbol. At first, such jobs may seem right out of the Founding Fathers' educational manual for how to bring up self-reliant, work ethic-driven, productive youngsters, but in fact, these jobs undermine school attendance and involvement, impart few skills that will be useful in later life, and simultaneously skew the values of teenagers, especially their ideas about the worth of the dollar. Continued. Some say that while these jobs are rather unsuited for college-bound, white, middle-class youngsters, they are, quote, ideal for lower-class, quote, non-academic minority youngsters. Indeed, minorities are, quote, overrepresented in these jobs, 21% of fast food employees. While it is true that these places provide income, work, and even some training to such youngsters, they also tend to perpetuate their disadvantaged status. They provide no career ladders and few marketable skills, and they undermine school attendance and involvement.
Well, that's a lot to unpack.
It's a lot to unpack. Yeah. But so I finished the article, and I thought that this author was going to make a case for how we kind of need to change the system in that, like, we obviously want to provide jobs and income for all people. They all deserve to, like, have a job. But in order to do that in a way that, like, allows for movement and growth and you actually learn, like, valuable skills, you genuinely need to change the system in which these jobs are functioning. Mm-hmm. But, like, in a capitalist society, there will always be these underpaid, low-skilled jobs that need filling. And if that's the case, if you're not going to change the whole system, then you can't job shame somebody for working within the system.
Exactly. It's kind of like, I feel like people do get shamed for having those jobs. It's like, well, you can't, like, get mad at people working at McDonald's and shame them and then go to McDonald's and use their services. Like,
right.
Want,
and
like,
also,
robots
like,
to work everywhere.
So there's so many different sides, like, of this issue. It's like, one, some people, like, literally have no other option but working at McDonald's because we live in a society where we, you know, oppress certain types of people. They don't have any resources in their community. They don't have the means to continue an education. Their family has been impoverished for generations, so they need to drop out of school and start working early, which means they don't have educational credentials, which means they can't go to college, which means they can't graduate with a college degree and then continue their education, master's, PhDs, get good jobs. They can't do that. And then on the other side, there are some people that don't want to go to college. There are some people that don't want to be CEOs, that just kind of want to live day to day, you know, take home a paycheck. Some people don't find value in being, quote unquote, financially successful.
Or
some
professionally successful.
Or professionally
everyone wants
successful.
to be, like, financially stable. But that's similar. I feel like Americans are so tied, like, their identity is so tied to their professional career. I know, like, when I studied abroad, a big thing was, like, they said Americans always ask, like, oh, what are you studying in school? What are you going to do with that? It's like, right. I'm studying art history because that's what I'm interested in. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And it's the same way as, like, the tipping culture here. Like, in Europe, you don't, like, they don't have a huge tipping culture because their waiters and taxi drivers are paid, you know,
living wages.
Wages. Of course, like, every place has problems, but it's confusing. But as far as it being used in the crossword, it's one of those things, like, okay, if it's a real term, is it fair game to be used as trivia, or should it not be perpetuated?
Right. Well, I think my issue is with the way that the clue is framed, which is unenviable position, ? And the answer is McJob. Like, a McJob is a phrase that people use to describe low-paying, like, jobs with little to no movement. Okay, that's factual. Those jobs exist. I wouldn't necessarily say McJobs is a friendly way to call that, because I think it's job shaming and, like, people are put into situations where they can't not have those jobs. But the way that the clue is framed, unenviable positions, like, what gives you the right to say what somebody's life is or isn't enviable? Like, because of their professional life, because of their private life and the choice that they have to make to, like, have a roof over their head, feed their kids, put shoes on their feet, like.
Yeah, and it's also like, well, other places maybe won't hire, you know, certain, like, McDonald's has lower hiring, like, criteria to meet. I don't know. It's all.
Anyway,
it's complicated, but
it's complicated.
It's too much to get into in our heights and shites section, but I'm glad that you looked into it and brought it up.
My heights and shite section is admittedly short because I wanted to talk about this, but yeah, so. Well, I haven't had a shit in a while, so. You know,
if I'm going to, like, piggyback and snowball this negativity that we have, I want to bring up a similar shit from the Monday New York Times by Barbara Lynn on the, January 7th, December 7th. And it was 16 across, American living abroad, e.g.
Oh, it's expat for, like, expatriate, right?
Yes. And I had like read about this before and have thought about it. And there was an article that I found on girlversusglobe.com, which I feel like I've used her blog before. But she has an article called Expat versus Immigrant. What's the difference? Her name is Sabina. They don't have her last name on here. But basically it talks about how, like technically the difference between an expat and an immigrant is like an expat is a person who lives outside of their native country. And an immigrant is a person who comes to live permanently in a foreign country. So the only distinction is that immigrants intend to stay in their new country indefinitely, while whether expats do or do not is unclear. And she says like, yeah, the sole difference between an expat and an immigrant is that the immigrant comes to stay and the expat might take off again. And she says, I'd be inclined to agree if that's how the term was actually used in practice. And then she goes to talk about, okay, an American diplomat stationed in Ghana, a Ukrainian plumber working in London, a German businesswoman living in Shanghai, an Ethiopian medical student refining her skills at a hospital in France, a Syrian professor working in Italy as a janitor, longing to return to his homeland once it becomes safe again. She says, according to the above definition, all of these people should be called expats because they're all living outside of their birth country for an undefined period of time, but they aren't. Why? Well, Muwana Remarki Kutonen wrote an article in The Guardian, and she says that the term expat is reserved exclusively for Western white people going to work abroad. Quote, Africans are immigrants, Arabs are immigrants, Asians are immigrants. However, Europeans are expats because they can't be at the same level as other ethnicities. They are superior. Immigrants is a term set aside for, quote, inferior races.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
That is so interesting. I've never thought of it like that because, like, to me, I just use the word expat. Like, it's American living in Paris, you know, for an X amount of time. But you're right. Why aren't they called an immigrant?
Yeah. It's definitely something to think about. I think the writer of this article, she traveled a lot as a kid. And, yeah, she talks about how, you know, they would travel to her first time she moved to, like, Prague and Czech, and they went to, like, a, quote, expat school. And she said that the kids there like never really bothered to like learn the local language or the local culture because they were planning on, you know, they moved around a lot. Maybe they were in the military or something, or they were military brats. But she talked about how she wanted to like learn the culture and, you know, feel like she was part of the country. So she was like, I felt more like an immigrant than an expat. It's just interesting to like, I don't know.
No, for sure.
It's obviously very complicated, but yeah, something to think about. I don't think that it's necessarily wrong to use in this crossword.
Wow.
I mean, it's true, like American living abroad, but
no, you're right. We've brought a lot to the table so far today, folks. A lot to the table.
We did. Should we hit some like less serious ones? Because I have some.
Yeah, well, let's stick with the Barbara Lynn New York Times puzzle. Okay. I liked the theme of this. It was like British puns. I think these are puns.
Oh yeah.
So some examples for you. 17 across, travel by subway ? And the answer was went down the tube. Like went down the tube is like a phrase you can say, but it's also related to like England because you're taking the subway, which is called the tube. Anyway, or 27 across, would you call the elevator for me ? And the answer was, can I get a lift?
It's like in America, that'd be like, can I get a ride in a car somewhere?
Oh my god. What's another one? Oh, use French fries as legal tender ? That's 63 across. And the answer was cash in one's chips, because chips is like, you know,
French fries,
but it's also like money at like a casino. So I liked that one. Speaking of, you know, British, you know, I don't know, international things. Anyway, that was a good theme. What do you got?
I did like that one. The Wednesday New York Times by Owen Travis and Jeff Chen. This is just one that I didn't know what it was. 13 across, fuel for a funny car.
Nitro.
Yes. I didn't know what a funny car was, so I looked it up, and it's a type of like drag racing vehicle. But I liked how on the Wikipedia page at the very top it says not to be confused with clown car, which is what I was like, what's a funny car?
Yeah, you're like, wait, is this like a clown car?
Yeah, at first I was like, nitro? I was talking about like laughing gas, but there was no question mark, so I was like, okay, it's not a pun, but...
Admittedly, I did not answer that one. Matt got that one and had to tell me what the heck it meant, so... Did you do the Friday, December 11th New Yorker by Robin Weintraub?
Maybe.
This was fun. I really liked the two really long, full across grid answers. They were related to each other, so 17 across. It's a date! ! And the answer was dinner and a movie. Mm-hmm. And that was related to 56 across. Encouraging remark after 17 across. And 17 across, remember, is dinner and a movie. So an encouraging remark after dinner and a movie is, let's do this again. And I was like, oh, that is encouraging.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Cute. We're suckers.
Yeah, we are.
We're also so easily impressed.
Yeah, no, we really like all the work you guys do.
Yeah. Just like anything that's like any cutesy.
We're like, oh my God, you guys are so cute. Like compared to like Mick Job. Anyway, also from that puzzle, shout out to Grace, 34 across, Barbie blank de Muertos doll, Mattel debut of 2019. And the answer is Dia. And Grace did a topic on Barbies in episode 56 called Blue-Eyed Monster. And I wanted to ask Grace if she had come across this Barbie in her research.
I did not, but when I liked it when I saw it in the clue. Actually, I don't even know what it looks like. What she looks like.
What does she look like? She's probably gorgeous. Hopefully she is ethnically correct.
Let's see.
To be determined.
Muertos Barbie. Yes, she is. She has black hair. She has like she's wearing a traditional Mexican style dress, and she has like the face paint.
Very nice.
Sorry, my cat is like going crazy. Yeah, she's really cool looking.
Amazing. Maybe we'll share some article on our Twitter if we remember to do that.
Yeah, for all you Barbie fans out there.
Yeah. What else?
I liked the Wednesday New Yorker on December 9th by Patrick Barry. Mm-hmm. 27 down, where suits may be pressed. Question mark.
Like a court of law.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then there was another one. 20 across. One's going through a terrible time? Question mark.
2-year-olds.
Yep. Very true.
Grace would know all about 2-year-olds.
Now 3-year-olds.
Oh, God.
And then I have one last one.
Go for it. I took up most of my time wanting to rant about Mick Jobs, so please continue.
Okay, this is from the Incubator puzzle, which we need to
and we have to renew the American Values Club as well.
I feel like it's the same. We'll talk about this later. But anyway,
we'll talk about this later.
The December 10th puzzle by Brooke Husick. And it was 30 down. Probably the first person to say, well, actually.
Well, actually, Megan, is it that Vine person?
No, Adam. Like Adam and Eve. Anyways, that's why I like the indie puzzles. But yeah,
they're fun. They spice things up.
They're fun. You won't see Mick Jobs in there.
No, hopefully.
You definitely won't, yeah.
Shall we flip the coin?
Let's flip the coin and get into our 69 themed topics.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. I'm flipping the coin now. It's tails.
Me.
We're back on Grace going first for this podcast.
Baby. My clue is from the Wednesday New York Times by Owen Travis and Jeff Chen. And it is 37 down. One taking a bow for getting couples together? Question mark.
Eros.
Yes. AKA Cupid. Boom.
It's tricky because it's one taking a bow, but one taking a bow.
That's how they get you.
Oh my God, crossword. They're so smart.
Yeah.
It definitely tricked me. I was like, a bow? What the fuck? I was like, Will Smith and Hitch.
Rihanna, go on and take a bow. All right, but no, we are not talking about Rihanna today, unfortunately. We're going to be talking about Eros and Cupid, who are the same person.
Yes.
All right, so let's start with Eros.
Okay.
He is the Greek god of love and desire, and he has a few different origins in Greek mythology. Okay, the first mention of Eros was in Hesiod's Theogony, where he is one of the primordial gods, and so those were the gods that were like born asexually from the void of chaos. as you are.
I'm so into that.
Yeah. It's like, can I do that? That's like the big Greek version of the Big Bang.
How do I get into the void of chaos? Like,
it's too late. We're already on the planet.
Damn it. I think I would do really well there.
Same. But all the gods after this group were born from, like, two gods mating. But so he was like one of the original ones. And he was the god of love. He was the fourth god to come into existence after chaos, Gaia, which is the earth, and Tartarus, which is the abyss. So it was like chaos, earth, abyss, love. Because love is one of the most important things in the world.
And love can be born out of anything, okay?
That's true. And then in other stories, he was actually the first god to come out. And he was kind of like violent about it all. So these myths claim that Eros was bisexual with golden wings and 4 heads. And it was by his powerful passions that the universe was created and set in motion. So some legends, he kind of like started the whole thing.
So you're telling me that a bisexual king is the reason we're here today?
With 4 heads, yes.
LGBTQ folks, okay?
He would incite violent and physical lust in people that would cause chaos in heaven and on earth. When Eros's whip or axe touched a god or mortal, he or she was overcome by sexual desire that could not be controlled.
Okay.
That was like the original version of him in some stories.
Sure.
But later on, accounts toned him down a bit. He got rid of the axe and the whip, and they gave him a bow and arrow, which is cuter,
It
I
became
guess.
less BDSM and more like cutesy.
Hunger Games style, yeah. And then he also started getting parents. So sometimes Nyx and Erebus are his parents. Aphrodite and Ares are his parents. And sometimes even Aphrodite and Zeus are his parents, which would make Zeus his dad and his grandpa. So
love that for him.
Yeah, that's fun. All right, so in this archaic period, Eros was depicted as an extremely handsome young man. He was not a baby, as we know Cupid today, okay? He was irresistible to both men and gods, and he had 2 kinds of arrows. Did you know that?
No. Okay, when you say he was irresistible to men and gods, are you using men in like the general sense, like mankind?
Yeah.
Humankind, okay.
Sorry,
tell me what his arrows
and gods. So he had 2 kinds of arrows, okay? There was the gold arrows that we're mostly familiar with that would cause people to fall in love, but then he had leaden arrows that would make people hate each other and be
I love
disgusted
this.
by each other. Yes. So you don't see those on the Valentine's Day cards.
You don't. I mean, we should have like an anti-Valentine's Day. We have Galentine's Day, we have Valentine's Day, then we should have Valentine's Day, like fall out of Loventine's Day.
And it should be like Society of the Leaden Arrows. All right, just putting that out there. Okay, anyways, so one of the stories involving his 2 arrows is about Apollo. So if you don't know, Apollo is the patron of archery, and Apollo was mocking Eros and his bow and arrows. And so Eros decided to shoot him with a golden arrow and make him fall in love with Daphne. But then he went and shot Daphne with a leaden arrow. So Daphne was like completely repulsed by Apollo. But Apollo couldn't get the hint, and he wouldn't leave Daphne alone, so she eventually gets so fed up she has someone turn her into a laurel tree to get away from this guy. But Apollo still won't give up, and now he's like in love with this laurel tree. He professes his love to the laurel tree, making it evergreen, which is why laurel trees are green all year round, and he uses its branches as a crown, which we still see, at frat parties today. When they're dressing up as like Greek gods and togas, they have the laurel trees as the crowns. And that's
so you're saying to me that Apollo and Eros are having a bow measuring competition, like my bow is better than yours, kind of, or my bow's bigger than yours?
I think he was just saying, like, you're not as good at archery as I am.
And archery is a metaphor for sex, right?
Could be.
I am rewriting Greek mythology live on Two Girls, One Crosswords today at 3 p.m.
I hope there's no, like, Greek mythology, like,
scholars.
Majors. Yeah, listen to our podcast, because I feel like every time we talk about them, it's just terrible.
Chaotic. Yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, but the most popular story about Eros is his own love story with Psyche. So Psyche, or Psyche, I'll say Psyche, was the youngest of a king's 3 daughters, and she was so beautiful that everyone was talking about her. They even started saying she was more beautiful than Aphrodite herself.
Aphrodite must not have been happy.
So when Aphrodite heard this, she said, quote, "Am I then to be eclipsed in my honors by a mortal girl? I don't think so." So then Aphrodite went to her son Eros and said that she was tired of people seeing this young woman as her equal. So she suggested that he use his love potion to make Psyche fall in love with some monster monster who was totally unworthy of her. And somehow that would like take her down a peg. I guess all these men wouldn't be chasing her. So Eros flew off to do his mother's will, and he picked 2 amber vases from, fountains, Aphrodite's fountains. One had sweet waters and one had bitter waters. And then he went to Psyche while she was sleeping, and he felt a moment of guilt after he saw her because she's like so beautiful. But he put the bitter water on her lips and touched an arrow to her side. Psyche woke up in sudden pain, and she couldn't see Eros as he was invisible, but the god was so startled when she woke up that he nicked himself with his own arrow. So he quickly poured the vase of sweet water on her and departed. When she woke up the next day, she felt no different, but as time went on, she never found any suitors. Even her less pretty sisters were getting married, and no one was going after her. Her parents were worried. They were like, what's wrong with
They were like, WTF.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
our spinster? She's probably like 17 years old.
Yeah.
So they went to an oracle, as you do, and the oracle told them, quote, "The virgin is destined for the bride of no mortal lover. Her future husband awaits her on top of a mountain. He is a monster neither gods nor man can resist." Sound like anyone we know?
Oh my God. Continue. I am so enthralled.
So she marches up to the top of the mountain. Her parents drop her off and they're like, bye, have fun.
Good luck.
So she's up there all alone. And then Zephyr, who's a god, comes in, picks her up and drops her off at a beautiful palace. And they tell her, there's all these like voices there that tell her this palace belongs to her husband and she's going to live here. She's like, okay. So she stays there.
No
The only
questions
thing
asked.
yeah, of course. I mean, it's a palace. But her husband only stops by at night and he leaves in the morning. And I guess he like hides under the covers or something because she's not allowed to see his face. And she was kind of pissed about this, but she was like, okay, whatever. But her sisters come to visit, and her sisters are like, oh my God, your husband's probably like a fat serpent. You're married to like a monster. You have to see what he looks like. So she finally decides that she's going to sneak a peek. So she pulls the blanket off of his face to look at him, and then she realizes that it's not a monster at all. It's an extremely handsome young man. It's Eros himself, the god. But because she broke the rules and looked at him, she is banished from the palace and sent wandering the earth looking for her love. Eventually, she goes to Aphrodite to ask for help, and Aphrodite sends her on all these exhausting missions. That's like a whole other thing. And once she completes them all, she's allowed to be with Eros. She does complete them all. The gods are so impressed by her love and commitment that they make her immortal, and her and Eros live happily ever after. The end.
Oh my God, Christmas movie. We need a Christmas version of this immediately.
Well, this story inspired a movie that I am positive that you've seen. So this story is the inspiration behind the French book Beauty and the Beast, written in the 1700s, which would then later inspire the 90s Disney classic.
Oh my God.
Right?
To be fair, I kind of prefer the Eros and Psyche or Psyche version, just because I kind of like that he goes to like curse her and he has this moment of like guilt, and then he kind of takes the punishment himself or whatever. And my heart.
Yeah, so that's that. Well, he
I
kind of
love it.
makes her fall in love with her. Like once he shoots himself with the arrow, he pours the good water on her, which I think is what makes her fall in love with him.
I see. So there is some malicious intent there,
And
potentially.
he kind of like, gives her bad luck because none of these suitors are attracted to her anymore after he does his little thing.
Sucks to suck. She's an immortal now, so it's fine.
Yeah, it all worked out. Okay. But at this time, people were intimidated by Eros. He was chiseled, irresistible, and had unstoppable power. He had the power of love. You could make people do anything for love. But over time, he kept getting knocked down a peg. His stories became more and more tied to his mother, Aphrodite. Eros became less chiseled and more childlike. He was depicted as being boyish and mischievous, and he did his mother's bidding, and she controlled his every move. But when did he become a baby? Okay.
Tell me.
According to David Small, an associate professor of archaeology at Lehigh University, the Romans were the ones who were obsessed with the baby version of Eros, who they called Cupid. Okay. But these babies from the Greek legends were actually helpers or assistants of Venus / Aphrodite, same person, known as erotes or erotes, which they were part of the spirit of love that surrounded the goddess and did her bidding. Their wings and little bows and arrows were a reference to the adult Eros, but they were their own thing. But then the Greeks were like, no, that's Eros, and he is a baby. And this is why I got my prop, that if you're watching the YouTube channel, you can see I'm low-key obsessed with, like, cherubs with wings. This is a statue I got at a thrift store.
I love it.
I don't know if this is Cupid, because he's playing, like, a Lear type thing. But, yes, I do love angel babies. So, very 90s
She
of me.
loves it.
I do. Okay.
I'm loving your prop.
Thank you. So either way, baby Cupid is the impression that seemed to last throughout history, in Renaissance art, and even on our Valentine's Day cards we have today. So,
Wow.
let's talk about some of his symbols.
Okay.
Okay, symbols are, he's winged, allegedly because lovers are flighty and likely to change their minds. And he's boyish because love is irrational and immature sometimes.
Okay.
His symbols are the arrow and torch because love wounds and inflames the heart. True.
Oh my God.
He is sometimes depicted as being blindfolded, or he's blind in stories because love can be blinding. And he's often seen with a certain mammal. Do you know which one?
Oh God. My mind immediately went to the lamb.
No.
Because of Jesus, for literally no reason.
It's not the lamb. It is the dolphin.
What?
Yeah, so even back to ancient art, Cupid/Eros is depicted as riding a dolphin. Dolphins were often portrayed in ancient times as being friendly to humans, and the dolphin itself could represent affection, since we know that dolphins like to have sex for pleasure. I don't know if that's something to do with it, but even in the modern era fountain in the Palazzo Vecchio in Florence, Italy, which I think maybe you've talked about, that's like right outside where they have the statue of David.
Yes.
There's like a big fountain there, and Cupid is like strangling a dolphin on this fountain in a loving way, I'm sure.
Oh, okay. Like sexually strangling. Right. BDSM. Got it.
Riding and like holding on a little too tight. I don't know. But anyway, so there's a thing with Cupid and dolphins. I don't know. I don't see that very often on like Valentine's Day cards, but
no, but if I see a card with a dolphin and Cupid on it, we know we got a winner.
You'll know why. Okay, so in Renaissance time, the sleeping Cupid emerged, and this is one of my personal favorites because it's so cute. But basically, it was like Cupid sleeping. It became a symbol of absent or languishing love in Renaissance poetry and art. And one of Michelangelo's first sculptures that put him on the map in Rome was a sculpture of sleeping Cupid that has since been lost.
Oh, sadly.
All right, so let's talk about Valentine's Day and Cupid.
Yeah.
All right, so it probably comes as no surprise to anyone who has listened to the last 2 episodes that Valentine's Day is an iteration of a February pagan holiday called Lupercalia, which celebrated fertility. Surprise, surprise. The Catholic Church tied it to St. Valentine's. There's like 3 different St. Valentines. It's not for sure which is the one Valentine's Day is about, but whatever. It's been around since before the church.
Valentine as like a name is amazing. And yeah, I mean, whatever. I think it's a great saint to name it after just because it's such a good name. It
is a good name. I think Cupid is a good name too. Never let me have a child. I will name it Cupid. Okay. But the Valentine's Day we know today was already becoming popular in the 18th century, and by the turn of the 19th century, Cupid had become linked to the holiday for his love-creating abilities, naturally. Renaissance-style depictions of him found themselves on Valentine's Day cards worldwide. Samantha Bradbeer, the historian of the Hallmark Cards, Inc., which sounds like an amazing job.
Yes.
She says, quote, "Those 19th century greeting card publishers were simply following suit with what was on trend. And the greeting card industry really hit stride in the 1850s after Congress voted to decrease postage rates in an effort to prevent the privatization of the postal service." Interesting. Yeah. So this postal reform made it possible for everyday Americans to send and receive mail easily. Okay. On top of that, it was the Industrial Revolution, baby. So the printing press was out. Hallmark was like, yes, this is our time to shine. And they printed their first Valentine's Day card in 1916. And Cupid imagery was all over it. It was like all Renaissance style Cupid.
Damn. That must have done really well.
It did. Valentine's Day continues to be one of Hallmark's busiest holidays, only after Christmas.
No surprise there.
Industry-wide, around 145 million Valentine's Day cards are sent annually, and that does not include children's classroom cards. And you better believe there are no shortages of baby Cupid. So Bradbeer says that Cupid today is not the powerful, mischievous god that he once was. Instead, baby Cupid is just there because, quote, sometimes people need a little bit of a push to make that first move. So thank you, Cupid.
Thanks, Cupid. We love you. Oh my God.
Stupid Cupid, stop picking on me.
What is that?
No, that's from, God, isn't that from Princess Diaries? And Mandy Moore sings that on the beach.
Oh my God, it might be.
Stupid Cupid, stop picking on me. I'm sure it's another song too. Oh, did you die? No.
I didn't.
I mean, not die, like on Zoom.
I'm alive, like.
Okay. Anyways, that's Cupid. I thought that was good for our, episode about love.
I love this. I've got a good topic for love.
Good, because you said that you forgot it was the 69th episode.
I did forget. But here we go, folks.
It was just ingrained in you.
It is. So I know that I said my topic is about love. It's not about love, but it's not about love. There is something about love inherently tied to my topic. So we'll talk about it.
Okay.
We'll talk about it. You might not think that there is, but there is. So
by the end of this episode, you will know that there is.
Yes, and by the end of this episode, you will be in love. So
okay.
You're welcome. Okay. My topic comes from the Monday New York Times, December 7th, by Barbara Lynn, 51 down. Hot après-ski beverage. And the answer was cocoa.
Cocoa.
So I'm talking about après-ski today.
Ooh. All right.
Yes. So if you don't know what après-ski is, it's basically, essentially, the social activities that happen after a day of skiing. But before we talk about what happens after we ski, I want to talk about skiing in general. I'm going to give a very, very brief history of skiing.
Like skiing is when you go down
a hill.
Snowy slope.
And that's my topic on skiing history. Okay. Skiing has been around in some variation for at least 8,000 years, at least.
8,000 years? Hello, the Earth was only created like 2,000 years ago.
Dude, I know. It's crazy. Someone's really bad at math on Wikipedia. No. So the earliest archaeological example of skis were found in Russia circa 6,000 BCE, but other early examples were found in different parts of Scandinavia and China. So it's difficult to say where skiing originated. It seems like in any area where there was a lot of snow, there's some version of skis had existed.
People are probably like, we could go down there really fast.
That would be so easy. Yeah, because initially skis were entirely utilitarian, a way to move effortlessly, like across large patches of snow or whatever you would call a distance of snow. So, yeah. But by the 1800s, skiing became popular as like a recreational activity and a sport. Mm-hmm. Some dates for you, just to kind of get you in the mood, the timeline here. In 1849 is when we see the first public ski tour, and this took place in Trondheim, Norway. And I'm assuming a ski tour is like you have like a Norwegian guide, and he's like, over there's the tree, and over there's the lodge. I'm sure that's exactly what it was like.
Of course.
And so then in 1861. We see the first ever ski clubs being founded, where people were like in clubs for skiing. And that was happening in Norway. And then by 1868, mountain ski resorts were now commercially viable. And why was that? It's because trains were now able to get up to the top of mountains like through the winter. Usually these mountain resorts would be closed down in the winter because you couldn't get anybody up there. But then, you have trains, and now they can get up to the top of these mountains during the winter. And so now you can have your resorts open year round. And now you need something to like make money off of, right?
Yeah.
While people are there.
Trains.
Thanks, trains. Let's see.
Once again, shout out to trains.
We love you. 1924, the first Winter Olympics are held. And that is when we first see skiing in the Olympics. So that's Nordic skiing. And there's different types of Nordic skiing, but a lot of it is like slalom and racing and like cross-country skiing. Mm-hmm. And then in 1936, the first chairlift is introduced in Sun Valley, Idaho. That's kind of cool. Before that, it was just like rope pools to like get to the top of the mountain.
Yeah, that's a long way to go all the way up.
Yeah, F that. And then in 1952, the first commercial snow machine is installed in Grossinger's Catskill Resort Hotel in New York. So skiing is like a sport, a recreational activity is relatively new, but the evolution of skiing and especially its commercialization is what we have to thank for like the ski aesthetic and like the après-ski phenomenon.
Yeah.
So I got most of my information from this really awesome article that I just stumbled upon called Ski Heritage Journal, Après-Ski Through the Ages. This was so interesting. And most of my information came from there, but also like a ton of other internet articles. Yeah. So après-ski is a French phrase, and it literally means after skiing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a period of time after you get off the slopes. You're trying to warm up and relax. Like, that's what après-ski is. Eating food and drinks after like a long day of skiing has been a custom in Norway since the 1800s. And so it kind of started in the home. You go out skiing, you come home, and then you have celebratory food and drink.
Yeah, you're exhausted.
Yeah,
skiing all day.
They needed something to warm themselves up.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? People had nothing else to do these days. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So they go skiing, they come home. And this used to happen in the home. But then in Norway, you have these ski clubs being founded. So then these après-ski events, these like celebratory get-togethers were happening at the ski clubs instead of in the home. And this tradition of like getting together after a ski event in these clubs went all the way over to the French Alps. And that's where we start seeing the first ever ski hotels in small villages like Chamonix. I think that's how you pronounce it. And the tradition here was a way to celebrate surviving a day out in the cold French Alps. And that's where the term was coined. Après-ski was in these small.
That's why it's French.
Can you believe? And so the après-ski tradition came to America in the 20th century, and it got its foothold in the ski resorts in New England. But this was during the Prohibition, okay? And so while people were having like a grand old time at their après-skis in Europe, like in Europe it was dance halls and wine and people in lederhosen just like having a ball. And, we're going to talk about some other things that they were doing. You came to America to go skiing, and it was decidedly more Puritan. There wasn't really much going on.
Americans are so boring.
Truly. It's actually kind of annoying how boring.
What do you think Europeans thought of us at the time?
No Europeans were coming here to ski, that's for damn sure.
Have some fun over there, loosen up a bit.
Right. So, okay, après-ski in America, like, it was difficult to find a good place to ski. And if you did, it was even more difficult to find a bed to sleep in once you were finished. Mm-hmm. Around the Boston area, there's this ski club called the Schussverein Ski Club. Essentially, it was just an old farmhouse that they converted to, like, bunk bed rooms. And there was a utilitarian, like, kitchen there. And, like, that's it. Like, that was...
It's like a hostel.
Basically a hostel. And, like, that's where, you would go skiing. You have to, like, pull yourself up this friggin' mountain on this pulley thing. And you do it for hours and hours. You get home, and you're like... You see Johnny fucking Tsunami sleeping in your bunk, and so there's no coffee left on the stove, and you're like, I just got to go to bed, and you pass out, and then you do the same thing the next day. But then the prohibition was lifted, and Americans got to enjoy the European version of après-ski. Yay. New lodges opened up, good food was there, good beds, good drinks. They had tons of amenities for the après-ski tradition. Heating, home-cooked food, ping pong, can you believe it? Dancing, drinking, you name it. But they still lost to the European après-ski. Why? It comes down to atmosphere. Something was missing in the American après-ski version. In Europe, it was more about folk traditions and the coziness of like being together with a community. Mm-hmm. In America, I feel like in America, things often come down to like the commodification of something and like how you're going to make money off of it instead of like actually just enjoying it. So like, it's like a 2-for-1 tacos. And it's like, just give me some authentic fucking tacos. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's the difference. Except it wasn't tacos. It was the après-ski.
It was like the ski vibe.
Right. So the ski vibe was lacking in the US until Aspen happened. And originally, Aspen was like a tiny silver mining town in Colorado. Mm-hmm. But then this guy named Friedel Pfeiffer, which is the best friggin' name in the whole friggin' world, he opened a ski school in Aspen with the help of his friends that he made when he was in World War II. Aspen was like the perfect place to open a ski school and like ski lodges because it had like many charms that other ski towns and ski lodges did not have. It was very cozy, down home, something like about, living in a mining town has that like folk mythic quality to it that, being in another place doesn't actually have. So down-home vibes, saloons, cozy little like restaurants with names like Red Onion. Ski bums lived there throughout the year, and they like were around town, so you could like mingle around town if you were coming for vacation. It kind of brought an air of congeniality to the city. There's this one hotel called Hotel Jerome, and they had a beautiful mahogany bar that was like a leftover from some mining thing from the town. And you would go there, everyone would bring guitars and everyone would sing folk songs together. It was just like really homey.
Sounds fun.
It sounds like so much fun, right? And so from Aspen onward, après-ski in the U.S. skyrocketed, and it continues to be a huge draw to ski resorts all over the world. Sometimes it's the après-ski that draws people in and not necessarily the quality of the skiing. I can believe it.
Yeah. Well,
I feel like there's more people ready to like party than there are people ready to ski.
My favorite part, I mean, well, first of all, skiing is kind of terrifying. Like, I don't know if it's because I learned as a teenager on a school trip, but it's like you're just hurtling down a mountain.
Good luck.
So it's like kind of stressful. And then, yeah, afterwards, being in a hot tub, drinking hot chocolate, it's like the best part.
That's what I want to do. After doing my research, I went to Matt and I was like, listen, I don't even want to ski. I want to go to a friggin' hotel and I want to do the après-ski every day, starting at 2 p.m.
You know that there is the bunny slope in Chicago. They rent out a little like ski lodge room that has a hot tub and they have drinks there and skis on the wall and like a little fireplace.
You did that for your birthday one year and you invited me, but we weren't really friends yet. And so I was like, there's no way I'm being in a bathing suit in front of somebody that I don't know, which is really funny because the first time we hung out. Anyway.
Yeah.
Listen to Grace's moth story for that. Anyway, so yeah. Let's talk. So, okay, we know a little bit about the general history of après-ski now, but like, what do you actually do for après-ski? Like, what do you do after you ski? And aside from that term literally meaning the time after you finish skiing, après-ski is more of like an umbrella term for many forms of, activities, entertainment offered by ski resorts for you to enjoy post-skiing. And it's not just the ski resorts. The towns within the ski resorts are also offering après-ski options. Traditional après-ski. If you were staying at a ski resort in the mid to late 1800s and early 1900s, you might have witnessed or engaged in any of the following. The first is Schuf Plattler. Okay, and this is a traditional style folk dance, which you can find in Austria, Germany, Italy. It's a dance where the performers stomp, clap, and slap the soles of their shoes, their thighs, and knees with their hands. And apparently, there are over 150 different types of Schufplattler. So you might have witnessed that or participated in that, which sounds kind of fun.
I have not, personally.
I haven't personally, but maybe next year. You might have drank a glass of Glühwein, which is essentially German mulled wine, right?
It's hot.
It's hot. It's nice. It's usually prepared from red wine, heated and spiced with cinnamon sticks, cloves, star anise, orange, sugar, and vanilla. You can drink it mit Schuss, which means like with a shot, so they can add rum to it or another liquor if you're feeling extra spicy. So that's something you could have gotten if you were staying in Switzerland during that time. And then we have the dirndl, or just in general, traditional dress in the areas. A dirndl is a traditional dress for women in the Alp regions that includes Germany, Austria, Liechtenstein, Switzerland, and Italy. It's a dress. You've got a low scooping neckline, a bodice, a high-waisted skirt which has an apron, and then you wear a blouse underneath it. It's the female version of the lederhosen. So if you've seen what lederhosen looks like, you know what the female version is. Example, Sound of Music. Okay, that is lederhosen and the dirndl. So people wore that. Like, you're an American, you're visiting, and you're like doing your après-ski, and you see like people serving you are in these, or you're just watching traditional things, and people are wearing these outfits. Like, of course, that's much cooler than hanging out at the local barn with the bunk beds. And so then we come to tea dancing. Tea dancing is where love comes in, folks. Okay, this is where the love begins. I'm going to read you a quote from that ski heritage journal that I was telling you guys about. Quote, "The basic rule of tea dancing is that practically nobody drinks tea. Any male can ask any female to dance, whether she is alone, with other girls, or with an escort. After the dance or set, she is returned to the table where she was found, and arrangements can be made for meeting later." And yes, meeting later is to be assumed that they're not just like hanging out for coffee. You know what I mean?
I pick up what you're throwing down.
She
How's
picks
that
up.
any different from just like walking up to anyone at a bar?
It wasn't like if you're in like the late 1800s, you can't just show up and like
That's
ask
true,
for
yeah.
someone to dance. It's different now, of course. We tea dance all the damn time, apparently.
Tea dance at the grocery store, baby.
Right. And this story, I want to talk about another story. There is this really famous ski school in the early 1900s. It's like the Hans Schneider Ski School in Switzerland, maybe. And this...
So much alliteration.
Yeah, it's great. This Schneider guy, he was the founder. He would not let any of his instructors at the ski school, like, mingle with the wealthy patrons, because skiing is like a wealthy sport. It's like really expensive to do.
Yeah.
And so the people learning to ski were usually wealthy, and the instructors were usually, as Schneider called them, rough-hewn, whatever that means. And so they were not allowed to mingle. But by the 20s, it was basically impossible to keep people away from each other because people were coming to ski and to experience the après-ski with and like mingle with the locals.
Yeah, you get horny skiing. It's just part of it.
You just do. And so there's this quote. It was something like, heterosexual liaisons were like, you couldn't stop them from happening. And basically, like, nobody was hurting is like what they said. And so this kind of like tryst element or sexual like freedom element of après-ski has always been there and still is there to this day. That like people go to après-ski, they ski all day, they come back to the lodge and they're like, oh my God, I'm feeling so horny. I need to like hang out with Mark, the ski instructor. Truly.
Amazing. That is not at the bunny slope.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's in the lodge. You got to go back to the lodge. You got to get off the slopes. Okay. So we talked a little bit about après-ski in the US. Like, it was kind of shit. And then after the Prohibition, it was kind of better. But then in the 60s and 70s, people were becoming more interested in efficiency rather than traditionalism. They weren't really interested in this like folk après-ski anymore. No longer did people want to sit around a fire and sing folk songs, okay? They didn't want to watch their socks dry in front of a cast iron stove. They didn't want that anymore. They wanted psychedelically lit dance floors, electric guitars, and a, quote, heated environment.
Ooh.
Yes. 2 examples of some après-ski environments during the 60s and 70s. There's a lodge called Altitude 38. This was at Bear Valley in California. This was described as, quote, the forefront of sexual revolution. The building had been designed for pleasure, a 2-story octagon with exposed beams, a hanging fireplace, a first-floor restaurant specializing in steak and lobster, and a second floor specializing in tete-a-tete trysting. So you went there to bang. And then we have the Roundhouse in Manchester, Vermont, which was a, quote, 2-story dance floor layout with everyone visible to everyone and all within suitable decibel level of the band. There is a singles swinging pickup parlor where everyone mingled and mixed.
I did not know the skiing was like the start of the sexual revolution.
They were like down to bone. I mean, I don't know. Does working out make people horny? I guess. Like, I guess
your
anything.
Blood pumping.
Anything can make anyone horny, but I'm guessing skiing is one of those things.
It's probably like rich people. They don't have, I don't know, they don't let loose very often, maybe.
Maybe. And then they're like, well, I'm just going to hang out with Mark, the guy
You're
who cuts
obsessed
the
with Mark,
logs.
Mark, the ski instructor.
Well, Mark, the ski instructor, also cuts the logs for the fires. And like Sandy, the rich white woman, is like, Mark, just cutting the logs as I went down the mountain. Anyway, stay tuned for my fan fiction.
Yeah.
I'll write that later. So that's après-ski, throughout time. What about après-ski today? No 2 après-skis are the same. It depends on the lodge or resort you're staying at, and also like the area of the world that you're in. Some places are known for more of like a traditional like approach, and others are known for a hedonistic approach. It all comes down to what the individual is looking for. So basically, do your research before you decide to go to Austria versus Switzerland. You're going to have two totally different skiing experiences and two totally different après-ski experiences.
Yes.
So it's like, are you more of like a hot cocoa and hot tub type? Or are you more of a hot, sweaty clubbing type? That's basically what it comes down to.
Hot tub and hot cocoa, 100%.
Agreed. Give me that.
If there's a hot tub, I will be in it. Rest assured.
It's true.
Any Airbnb, any hotel, I'm in there.
Yes. So do you remember Chamonix, the one like small French town that like started the ski resorts? I talked about them like a little while ago. Okay.
Yes.
They're still around today. You could still go there to their lodges and ski there and have the opera ski experience. Things that you could potentially do after you get off the slopes. There's tons of bars, tea rooms, discotheques. There's a casino, a movie theater, a bowling alley. You could get massages, go to the spa. There's hot tubs. And all of these amenities tend to exist in every single ski town or every single ski resort in one way or another. But it's about the vibe around those things. I'm going to talk to you about each little country that I can here.
All right.
In the US, there's a lot of diversity to the après-ski. You can have the extravagant nightlife on one end of the spectrum, or the down and dirty dive bars on the other. There's this place called Bierstube at Montana's Whitefish Mountain Resort, and they have a tradition dating back 60 years where every Wednesday the ski patrol gives out the Frobert Award to the person who embarrassed themselves the most on the slope that week. And you can tell like that vibe is so much more like chilled and relaxed.
Yeah.
Versus there are some places where you're going to be clubbing all night and like the Kardashians go to those places. The Kardashians are not going to the fucking try to figure out if they got the Frobert Award. You know
Kylie's like getting dropped off a helicopter and going snowboarding. She's actually a really good snowboarder.
Wow, that's kind of cool. Yeah. I was not wondering, but now I know.
Now you know.
Yeah. I found a guide on the visitsunvalley.com for how to spend your après-ski if you're visiting Utah resorts. First step is to go skiing. You have to go skiing first because the whole deal is you go skiing and then everything that happens after is like about recuperating from the long day of skiing. Step 2 is you head back to the lodge, you grab a table with a great view, and you grab a drink. If you want to be traditional, you grab some mulled wine or red wine. If you want to do things your own way, maybe it's more of like a pitcher of beer. Step 3. It's time to move on to the next spot. You go to a bar or a pub, maybe even a different lodge. There's usually always a band playing somewhere, and so they always suggest that you find somewhere that has music. And then so you go there, you listen to the music, and you guessed it, you keep drinking. Side note, it's entirely normal and accepted to party in your ski boots.
Oh God, why would you want to? They're so uncomfortable.
Yeah. So then step 4. It's time to get some food. So pick a place that's cozy with good food, preferably something hearty and warm. And this actually might be the first time you take your ski boots off all day for dinner. Step 5 is nightlife. Head out to a club for more music and dancing and drinking, or maybe you want to head back to your lodge for hot cocoa and s'mores over a fire. And so that's how you end your après-ski. Or maybe you're headed to Switzerland, and here are some tips from Micah Meyer that I found on Condé Nast Traveler Guide. If you're traveling abroad to après-ski, make sure you learn the lingo. Knowing your pleases and thank yous in the native language will always make things easier. She goes on to say to keep your helmets and bulky accessories off the tables and on seats, on benches, or in lockers. Tuck your goggles and gloves away in your helmet, and instead it's time to don your head warmer or your fashionable hat and sunglasses.
Yes.
And if you want to radiate that après-ski elegance, make sure to pace yourself. Your body processes alcohol much faster at high altitudes. And if you don't want to look like a fool in Switzerland, you have to pace yourself. And it's important not to look like a fool in Switzerland because Switzerland is the most elegant and expensive ski destination. They take pride in being luxurious and refined. You can go to the Carlton Hotel in St. Moritz. They have a sun terrace, views over the lake. You order a bottle of champagne and you watch snow polo on the ice.
Ooh, fancy.
Right? Here's a quote from that Condé Nast article. Quote, "It's more of a nice chat among friends and a way to relax rather than a big party. There's no dancing on tables, for example. But if dancing on tables is your vibe, then you want to go to Austria."
All right.
So in Austria, you'll find a rowdier crowd than Switzerland. This is because the winter season in Austria is bookended by 2 huge music festivals. And also the ski culture in Austria is like really deep. So you're going to find these crazy ski enthusiasts there and crazy nightlifers there as well. You ski until 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then you start drinking. And you drink all day and all night.
Oh my gosh. Then you have to wake up the next morning and ski?
Right. I read another article where some guy was like, he's like, I got off the slopes and then like I went to go to the lodge and I show up and like everyone's skis are just thrown everywhere. And he's like, I have no idea how people know whose skis are whose. And then like there's people in drag, people are standing on tables just singing. It's extremely rowdy.
Oh my
and it's
gosh.
kind of the vibe there. And that's not how it is in Switzerland. Switzerland's like, can I have more champagne, please? That takes us to Japan. There are 3 different levels of energy for après-ski in Japan. The more high energy is closely connected to like Western style. They have a bunch of Western style bars. It's popular to go there if you're craving more of that like crazy party vibe. Then there's the middle vibe where you can just go get good food, good beer, good ramen, good cocktails, and then head back to the lodge. But if you're going for more of like a relaxing traditional Japanese experience, you head to the onsen, which is a traditional Japanese hot spring where the volume never goes above a whisper. Grace, I swear to God, if we don't go to Japan and opera ski at this friggin' onsen shit, I swear. What is the point of it
I would
all?
love to do that.
I know. So, what is the opera ski dress code? And this is where I also have a prop. So I'm going to be doing the rest of the podcast in my opera ski dress.
Nice.
Come over to our YouTube to see what I'm wearing. When people think of opera ski as an aesthetic, they probably think of Audrey Hepburn in her all-black ensemble in the movie Charade, where she's vacationing at a ski resort in Switzerland. Or maybe you think of Steve McQueen as 007, and this isn't entirely wrong, but it's not 100% correct either. Opera ski is the perfect time to kind of break out your merino wool, your knitted jumpers of all kind. Women might style their hair in braids to kind of give them like a Nordic, vibe. You might see a traditionalist wearing a waxed jacket out to opera ski. Or if you're like more contemporary, you're probably wearing some sort of like vibrant puffer jacket. I think I would go for the puffer jacket. But there is literally no dress code for opera ski, which kind of makes it classless in a way. It's not actually classless, like at all. Skiing is not classless. But it's cool to think that like you don't have to go party after you finish skiing, like looking like $1,000,000. It's normal to see people in their ski boots when they're doing like their opera ski. Most people wear whatever they had on the slopes out to opera ski. And it's the most important thing to do is like remain casual and cozy. But if you're feeling adventurous, you can try to dress up your ski pants or even toss over a nice sweater over your base layer to stay warm. I'm going to end you on this question. Okay. Can you opera ski at home? The answer is yes, of course you can, because you can do anything you want at home.
This is good for current state of affairs.
Exactly. And this might sound a little familiar to you, Grace. So make sure to start your at-home opera ski with a cold outdoor activity. So you got to get your blood pumping. Your nose got to be a little red, because when you get home, you're trying to warm yourself up. And once you're home, it's recommended to have at least 1 bottle of champagne waiting for you, but you can swap that out for mulled wine or just red wine, or you can have all 3. I'm not judging you. Then you grab your swankiest sweater. You cook up some bomb-ass fondue, which is like a opera ski food. You have the fireplace going, or maybe it's just the Netflix Yule log.
Yes.
And then you end the night with a warm cup of cocoa and a steamy bath. And that's how you do it, folks.
That's like every night for me.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I do that every night. I'm basically
minus
opera
the
ski
getting
all the
cold
time.
first.
Right. Yeah, no. Just stand in front of the window until you're really cold.
Yeah, that could work.
And then get started.
That sounds very cozy.
I know. I'm like, I can't believe I did this because I'm just dreaming about being in a hot tub at a ski resort now.
I know. I'd love to. I would kill to be in a hot tub. If anyone knows anyone in the Chicago area who has a hot tub that would let us borrow it, distanced, of course, let us know. Please message us.
Yes.
You can find us on Twitter at the Good Eve Girls, at the Good Eve Girls,
or Instagram at the Good Evening Girls,
or TikTok at the Good Eve Girls,
if that's your thing. If you're interested in, other podcasts, we have a new podcast called Meet Me in Forks, which is like a chapter-by-chapter review of Stephanie Meyer's new Twilight book called Midnight Sun. It's a hot mess. It is not for everybody. But if you like chaos, it is the exact place you need to be.
It could be for you.
You could be.
But yeah, I guess that's it. We're wrapping up our 69th episode. What a ride.
Oh my God. I'm just tired now.
Yeah, I'm ready to go take a nice, hot, long bath.
Steamy bath with my mulled wine. And
I do have marshmallows, but no hot cocoa. But I'll just eat the marshmallows by themselves.
Okay, well,
I guess until next time, enjoy your own marshmallows and hot cocoa.
Yes, and enjoy your skiing if you're doing it safely.
Yeah, don't. Can you ski now? I don't know. Don't.
I think you can. Don't do that.
Someone ask the CDC. I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever they recommend is what we support. But until then, I guess we'll see you next episode.
Okay, bye.
Bye.